Hey, how are you, friend? So good to see you, and I'm so glad you're here. You want a cup of coffee? I thought we could just sit down and have a chat. Come on. Hey, bestie.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. You've got a much more elaborate mic setup than I do. We got our coffee. Everything's great. You're having coffee at what, 8:30 p.m. your time?
That is correct. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
And not only that, it is a Cuban roast which has espresso in it, so I'm not going to sleep tonight.
You'll just be like super uber productive.
Ideally, ideally, yes. I'm probably going to end up doing 50 projects at once.
That's the best way to work, honestly. Okay, so moving into kind of the questions that maybe somebody that doesn't know you would want to know is, who are you? What is your name? What is your quest? What is your favorite color? And what do you do for a living? Or what are you gonna do for a living because you're in school right now?
And then the velocity of a unleaded swallow.
Unladen sparrow. What is the maximum airspeed velocity of an unladen sparrow? Is it African or European?
Yeah. I don't know that one.
We're very
So
sophisticated.
yes, clearly.
Any day where you can make a Monty Python reference, great day. Next.
So for anybody who does not know me, my name is Matt Overbey. And Marcia is my bestie. We've known each other for a really long time.
Bestie!
I think, was it 7 years? 8?
8 or 9 at this point.
I think something like that. Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a good minute. But I'm a current student at Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida, and I do sound stuff, sound engineering, audio engineering, however you want to call that, sound design, like for video games and audio post production for film. Those are like my aspirations once I graduate, which will be next May, I think.
So, audio engineering is the topic, and the reason that this conversation came up is because I started a podcast and I don't know what I'm doing. I've been figuring everything out basically via Google search, literally going to the search bar and going, how do I record a podcast? How do I edit a podcast? How do I put my podcast on Spotify? And I have learned how to do all of those things in the last week and a half, which has been crazy. But I've also been kind of like MacGyvering it the whole way. And so Matt very generously offered to give me some tips on how to be more professional, how to do this thing. And so I guess we're going to talk a little bit about like the nitty gritty, what goes into being an audio engineer, and kind of maybe even talk through some of the skills that you've learned so far at Full Sail, and maybe also we could talk about something that I personally am interested in, not just podcasts, but like what goes into, say, the post-production for a film or a video game that people might not know about. Maybe talk about Foley art.
Every time I hear the word Foley, I smile.
Me too. I didn't know it was a thing until like 3 years ago, and I've been obsessed with it ever since. I follow like 4 of them on Instagram. What does your mug say?
I've been called many things in my life. Matthew is the name I best respond to.
It's one of those, okay, I have a bone to pick with every single product that is based on names, keychains in gas stations, license plates, also usually in gas stations and gift shops.
Especially in gas stations.
Especially in gas stations. Listen, because look, you can find Ansley or Leanne spelled 8 different ways. It's always Lee. Any name involving Lee. There's like 8 different versions of it.
Oh yeah, of course.
Marcia, especially spelled the way I spell it, Marcia, not SHA. Get it right. Thank you, everyone. Nowhere to be found. Cannot find it. Doesn't exist. Almost every time.
That's unfortunate because I actually know a few marshes down, or knew a few marshes down here before the party there. So it's not as uncommon as you think, and spelled the same.
Really?
Yes.
They're out there.
They are. I
can't find them.
That's the rub.
Maybe they're all part of a secret society that just decided collectively.
The secret society of marshes with C.
The CIA.
The Institute of Marshes of CIA.
I love this. Okay. So, all right. So, what have you learned about audio engineering that's really cool?
That's a loaded question.
Go for it. I love asking loaded questions.
I don't even know where to begin on that. Jeez. I really can't pinpoint one specific thing that is stuck out to me because like there's so much that goes into like learning how to do recording, whether it's recording a song in a studio, whether it's recording like sound on set for a film, or recording stuff for video games. Like the process is generally the same, like throughout. Like you all follow the same principles when you record. There's a lot of debate over like what kind of like where to keep your recorded level at. After you get done with that, then you have the post-production stage, and that just consists of blending, making sure you have, you know, not even, but you have like wide dynamics, depending on what it is you're recording, like specifically for music. There's different trains of thought, and personally, I think it just depends on what kind of genre that you're doing. Some people have the practice that they do a lot of processing with doing a lot of stuff to overall change the tone of the original signal. Like if you're doing like EDM or something like that, then you're gonna be doing a lot of like post-processing, compressing a lot of signals, bringing stuff up, getting like a pumping feeling. You know, if you go out to rage or something like that, and you hear that stuff, you feel in your chest, and so like it makes everything more lively.
Yeah. If
you do that same thing on like a singer-songwriter thing, like a folk singer or something like that, it's not going to have the same. The result's not going to be the same thing. It's probably going to sound awful.
Yeah.
So it's genre dependent.
Cool. What is your absolute favorite thing to do as an audio engineer? The genre, your favorite part of the process?
Recording.
Why?
It's a time when I actually have to sit down and think, okay, I'm speaking specifically for if I'm recording sound effects. Like my first thing when I sit down is like, okay, what do I want to record? Why do I want to record this? What am I trying to get out of this? And what do I want this to be after the fact? So go ahead and if you want to call it the pre-production phase, like understanding, you know, what is you want to record and what do you want to change about it, and how are you going to go about that? Yeah. So once you have the idea, then you go out to wherever. If it's my apartment, just looking around for stuff. If I go out like to a park or something and just try to hear something that piques my interest, or if I have like something very specific I'm looking for, I'll go around and try to stay out as long as I can until I find the sound that I'm looking for and go for it. Unfortunately, that hasn't really happened a lot lately, but I'm getting back to it.
Enjoy. Yeah. And I've seen like so much of like your social media posts, and just whenever I've talked to you, kind of a recurring theme is, I went out and did some field recording in this really awesome nature place, or this thing or that thing, or I was playing around with some Foley stuff in my apartment today. And that's just always been so cool to me, that like that is like your job, and that's what you're going to be doing with the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
is just going and recording things like that, and just listening to the world and then sharing that with everyone else.
If it's audio, anything audio related, like I said, like whether it's a podcast, music, film, or whatever, like it all follows the same. It literally all follows the same process.
Yeah.
So like you're literally doing the art of sound by doing podcasts. That's what you're doing.
That's so cool. I feel proud of myself. And I actually one of part of what you just said, that brings up a little bit of a follow-up question. So obviously you've said that COVID is affecting a lot of what you're able to do right now.
Really, like, we've discussed it and we've talked about it too. Like as far as like my everyday like routine that I usually have, outside of like doing sound and stuff like that, my routine like hasn't really like altered that much since the pandemic happened. When the quarantine stuff happened, that did limit the advantage of being able to go out, and we're doing recording stuff because a lot of places were closed. Like parks and stuff would become testing sites, so you couldn't be there.
Interesting.
Yep, that gave me a little bit of it presented itself as a challenge, like for everybody did, but like specifically for me doing audio stuff, that gave me a limitation on what I could record based on where I am, like the limitations of where I am, my room, my apartment, and it didn't really bum me out. Paralleling to this pandemic, I was taking which is technically my first sound design class from the school, and I can meet my instructor. He's an amazing person. Love the guy to death. He kind of gave me a little bit of the inspiration of saying like limitations are not exactly a bad thing. They're not always a bad thing. One of the projects I had to do was I had to make a soundscape, and me being being like a horror person, like love horror films and stuff like that, I kind of wanted to do like an invader story, like someone breaking into a house and trying to stop the person that's in there.
Yeah.
And it was just like a really short, 3-4 minute little clip. There was no dialogue. It was all story. You had to tell a story with just sound.
Yeah.
Like you could have gasps and breathing and stuff, but there could not be any dialogue at all. And that was a fun little thing. And I've been doing that for the duration of the entire month. But this is the first time that I was actually recording stuff for this project with the limitation of my apartment. Not only with the limitation, but I had a set limit. There's a time limit on my assignment, and I had to get it done in X amount of days, X amount of hours. So I found that with the limitations of the limitation of my environment and the limitation of the time I had, while it wasn't something that I would probably put on my portfolio, but it was something that once I listened to it back, I was like, holy crap, how did I get that finished, or how did I get this done in this amount of time? It's not bad. It's not bad. And I was just like, wow, I got that done.
Yeah. I love it when
limitations breed off creativity. And it's so cool.
Exactly. And that becomes so empowering.
I think it was last month. I actually got to do what's called a speed mentoring.
Oh,
open
you were
Zoom
telling me
session.
about this. Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing a speed mentoring thing, which it's essentially the same premise of speed dating, except with people that are in the industry right now that have a solid foundation in the industry, that have done things, seen things, done stuff, and we got to sit with these people for 5 minutes over a Zoom session and just shoot the breeze, talk about whatever we wanted to. And it was an insane experience, asking them how they transitioned from what they would normally do to what they're used to. And again, limitations breed creativity.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, how many people can say that they were able to just sit down and rapid fire meet people that were working, you know, 18 steps ahead of them in their career field and just pick their brain about anything?
Yeah,
How
it
insane.
it's really insane. And the thing about it too is like these are people that like love talking to, like they love talking to people that are interested in what they want to do. When you think of, you know, people that are like well established in any kind of industry, it doesn't have to be specifically be entertainment industry, but it can just be of anything, food industry or anything where there's a recognizable like name.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people like get like that kind of like especially I did with this thing, but there's a little bit like a stigma of intimidation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Imposter
And
syndrome is real.
yes, that, and just the fact of like just all the credits and everything that these people have to like to their names and stuff, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk to you, but I'm kind of scared.
Yeah.
I don't know what to. I'm not worthy. Like I don't know. You know, that I know that's not the case. Like 90% of the time, I know that's not the case, but I still get that way.
Yeah.
So when I was looking, you know, through the names and through the credits that they've done for music, film, TV, and all that, I was looking through this stuff. I'm like, oh, I know a lot of these. I know a lot of these works.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of their work.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap! I don't know what to ask these people. I just had an absolute blast. Like, I barely got to ask. Like, this is the thing. Like, they wanted to know more about me than like anything else. Like, how far are you in school? What is it? What are your aspirations? What do you want to do? How do you think you're going to get there? One of the people that I specifically got to talk to, he was like for audio engineers, this is a huge freaking deal. Like for this guy specifically, because he's the man who created what's known as the parametric equalizer as an individual. He looks like the guy who voices Patrick Star in SpongeBob.
I love that.
He just reminded me of him as soon as I saw him. I was like, I like you already. I don't know what, like, I know you're not Bill Figuerbaki, but I really like you already. I know. I know. Yeah, and the amazing thing about that was him and two other people I got to talk to. They asked for my email and wanted me to reach out after the speed mentoring thing was over. They said, like, reach out to us, you know, if you have like any kind of questions. And so like the person I ended up talking to, the parametric equalizer guy, he
Patrick Star.
Yeah, he, like, before the session, he goes, "When's your next day out of class?" And I told him, he's like, "Okay, let's I'll set up a Zoom session that day. Let's talk a little more." I was like, "Okay." So that day came around, 9 a.m. I got up and we had a Zoom meeting. Lasted maybe like 20 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, I talked to him a little bit more about, you know, like I wanted to do film sound, like specifically like post-production stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he worked like in the music business. He worked with a lot of people, like people that my dad and my mom grew up listening to. So he's had like an established, you know, career, not only in music though, but also in film, which which really kind of blew my mind, like that crossover from that. But it's
because those are such big and such different.
Well, see, that's the thing. You would think that, but it's not.
Yeah, because in the audio world, like you were saying, it's all the same process. Yeah, it's just what you apply it to.
Yeah, and like that, like having that that scenario that, you know, we were in with that speed mentoring thing, like that kind of like came to realize, I'm like, yeah, these people are in completely different aspects of the entertainment industry, but they work together and they know each other very well. They're friends, and they've worked on stuff together from different aspects. So like it's the entertainment industry is a huge global network.
Absolutely. And it is all incredibly interconnected. What's it called? The like 7 degrees of separation, or is it 6 degrees of separation? I can never, it's
6 degrees of separation, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I feel like for people in the entertainment industry, the degrees of separation are like 3 or 4 tops. Everyone who is anyone knows everyone else because they've probably worked on something together. And a little bit of advice for anyone, at least this is what I've picked up on, for anyone who wants to be in any aspect of the entertainment industry, be nice to everyone because you don't know who they know. And like you were saying, Matt, like a lot of those people are more than happy to sit down with you, or at least like chat with you for a couple of minutes and help you get a step further to where you want to go. And they might not be doing exactly what it is that you want to do, but they might know something about it that you don't know yet. And they might also know someone that can answer your questions. So be kind, be nice, don't underestimate anyone.
I cannot emphasize that point any more than what you've already done. Like, seriously, be nice to literally everybody that you're going to come in contact with, even if they give you the most worst experience possible. You never know.
And that includes people who are on the same level as you as far as like their journey professionally, because when you collaborate with people and then, you know, several years down the line, you don't know what they're going to be doing, and they might, you know, need someone who does what you're good at. And the experience that they had with you 5 years ago, collaborating with you on some dumb project in some class that you know, maybe weren't all about, it can be the difference between whether they, you know, give you that email out of the blue that gives you your shot, or they pass you over for somebody else. And it's not all about like your career advancement or anything else. Sometimes it's just fun to get to know cool people, but you know, just something to keep in mind.
If you're going to go into audio, the music business, as far as like the music business, like having wanting to have a recording studio, that's not where the jobs are at. That's not where the money's at. Because everybody can get an Apple computer, get Logic, or GarageBand, or whatever with this, and they can, you know, make beats in their house and record all that with a little 2-channel interface, and they can do all that stuff at home. They don't have to like spend like, you know, like the hundreds and hundreds of dollars or even thousands of dollars going into an actual like professional studio and to get the same thing. Like, there's huge differences between a professional studio and like your basic bedroom studio. There's a lot of differences, but there's not really a lot of money in it because everybody can do it now,
especially if you have the software and the know-how.
The place to go though is this is just my personal opinion, that really needs good audio people is in the gaming industry. That it's for the gaming industry, there's a really big commodity, and there's really, and much like in film too, there's a again, opinion, but I really think like there's some type of stigma that goes into audio in film and in gaming. It's not with everybody, but there is that kind of thing where, like, if you're working on a film or something, your production mixer like can't get a certain take, and he can't get a good quality audio. Usually the biggest thing, and I've heard this personally, and it really just grinds my gears. It's we'll just fix it in post.
Yeah, I've heard multiple sound engineers that I've known that have said that that's their least favorite sentence.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post. It's like the meme, like, you know, with Finn and Han talking about, we just use the Force. He's like, that's not how the Force works.
That's not how the Force works.
And same thing. It's like, we'll fix it in post. That's not how post works. That also goes back to my first basic understanding of when you're recording. And it's a basic thing, but it's a very important thing. So important. You make sure you have a good source to record. That way you do not have to worry about going to post and fixing it. Having said that, there are circumstances where it's where, like, especially in film, where that's not gonna, like, you're not gonna get the ideal things. You're just gonna have to take it and run with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get like a director that understands the importance of sound in film,
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna go a way more long way than someone that's just like in the camp of fixing post. My really good friend Andrew Spann, we have worked on, like, I had the idea of, like, I don't want to be a recording engineer as far as like doing music and stuff like that. Like that's not where my career goals want to be, but that's something that I still want to kind of do, just not professionally. And collaborating with Andrew gave me a little a bump that I needed to have, especially at the beginning of me starting Full Sail. Really, really good guitar player, really good vocalist for like the genres and stuff that we do. And yeah,
Cool.
awkward silence. Yay.
Hey, we'll fix it in post.
That's the only time I would allow that. That's the only time I would allow that.
The only time we're getting raw material here. Right, so, okay, Matt Overbey. If someone wanted to follow your work, where would they go? Instagram, etc.
MDO Sounds. That's where I put a lot of my field recording stuff. If I'm going out doing sound effects, or I'll usually have a link or something like that with from my SoundCloud that has like, it's got some music on there that I've worked on. It's got audio stories that I've done.
Matt, I cannot thank you enough. I'm so glad that we got to talk a little bit more about what you do. It's so cool. It's so niche, and it's something that I feel like a lot of people don't know a whole lot about, but it's everywhere. It's
important. It is important. People, please understand that audio is important. Sound is important. Do not let anybody tell you otherwise.
Especially when it comes to the stuff that you're putting out and how professional it seems. If your sound is terrible, it doesn't matter how good your camera looks or how nicely your ring light lights you. If people can't hear you, they're not going to listen.
Go watch a David Lynch movie and you'll understand the importance of sound to picture.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that. Guys, this was a wonderful first episode. I hope you guys enjoy listening to it, and we will see you next time. Matt, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me. This was really fun.